Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa if you guys are new, and I'm an American living in London. I'm about to move back home to New York. I've been living in New York for the past 7 years, moved here for 1 year, and I wanted to do a little bit of a Q&A about New York versus London, or just America versus UK, especially if you're like me who are thinking about doing a temporary or permanent move to the UK. So I'm gonna answer some questions, get ready for the day, and let's get into it. The first question I get asked a lot about moving here is, why did we do it? And Austin's always had a dream of moving abroad. It was never really something on my list personally. I'm from California. California is amazing. And I just never really had a big inkling for it. But I was open-minded, and again, it's something different. It's something I can say was unique for myself and Austin at our point in the relationship, and just like a really unique experience for us to do together. We were newly engaged, and I had also just lost my job. So it was kind of like, what do I have to lose? His company kindly sponsored my visa as well. So we both had kind of the freedom to really start our life here. Austin moving internally, me looking for another job. And the UK, obviously, because we speak the same language. There are cultural differences, but you know, we probably couldn't move to France or Spain or Italy, so England made sense. I also get questions about how we picked this flat and you know, what stood out about the neighborhood. We wanted to move somewhere where we felt familiar enough with a furnished apartment. So we had to do this virtually because Austin was working on a pretty quick timeline to start up his job here in the UK. So we did it virtually. We picked a neighborhood that we felt comfortable with, which was Notting Hill. We had visited a few times before, so we felt familiar, and we just knew the general surrounding. We knew it was generally safe, and the unit looked amazing. We simply signed off of a video, and they were very flexible about that. Apparently we are not the only ones to do that as Americans, but also as Brits as well. So it's not uncommon to see a video of a flat and then immediately apply and reserve it. In terms of the weather between London and New York, I think London has a much harsher winter. You know, New York has cold, fine, but we definitely get snow, so things can feel a little bit more interesting. And in the winter in London, it's just dark, it's just cold, it's just rainy. Sometimes it's just dark, and that's all you see for a week. And it really, really messes with you. I had quite the seasonal blues from that, and I will not miss that this winter. Everyone warned us about London summer being not really summer, and they're absolutely right about that. We probably had maybe, I don't know, 10 warm days, but other than that, it was very, very mild, like 70 degrees, which I think is about 22, 21, and it just made us really yearn for summer. I think Austin and I both were like, oh, we need to go somewhere warm, we need to go to the beach, we need to go to the pool, and it just never really got warm here. So I felt like we were constantly leaving to go search for warmer weather. Thankfully, Spain, Italy, France are very close by, but it's still, you know, a whole thing of, you know, packing the suitcase, getting on a flight, yada yada. And with that, I think we just prefer New York's climate over London. I mean, selfishly, I prefer LA's climate over anything. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to get back to more of a true seasons in New York. Finding a job, starting the job, culture, etc. I found it way easier to find a job in the UK than in the US. It just seemed way less competitive. Now, the amount of jobs out there was a whole different story, and I think the job market pattern is different here than in the US. So what you might be used to in terms of like high hiring seasons might be different here. But I didn't have any problems looking for jobs from, I think it was September to November. And I ended up finding a company that actually was headquartered in the US. So it was kind of best of both worlds, because I envisioned, you know, moving there, temporarily working there, could move back to New York with them. So it kind of worked out well. And it also worked out to my advantage because, you know, headquarters was America. And being a New Yorker, I had those relationships already. I kind of knew the culture, the nuances, and I think it put an edge on me versus other people in the office, because I had had that experience of working with US colleagues, of working with New York colleagues, and yeah, I definitely think it gave me a competitive edge over other candidates. Culturally, I will really miss the UK work environment because I felt that it was a lot less competitive. people seem very genuine, and they also seem happy and content with their jobs. I think in the US it can feel very competitive. We have at-will employment, so you can get fired any day of the week. In the UK, you have much more protection laws as an employee over yourself, so notice periods. You also can get potential garden leave. Like, there's a lot of different options that you can do, and termination is not high on the list. So it's really nice to have that sort of job security. And I think because of that job security, people feel less inclined to be competitive with others, and instead they kind of stay in their lane. Maybe they expand in their lane, but they're not looking to necessarily one-up each other in a way that I found in the past that US companies just, everyone is kind of one man for themselves, and in a blink of an eye, someone can just take everything from you or terminate you. I'm really gonna miss my UK coworkers. I thought they were so much fun, really funny, and taught me a lot about different global nuances that I was simply only used to from word of mouth or from working with VP level leaders in a global company. But it was great to be on the ground, experiencing it real time, working with the sellers in different markets in real time, and taking away that experience. I know the next question is naturally about the pay, and the pay is crap. I haven't made this much money in like 6 years. So when I was a very junior role, that's the type of money I was making. And I'm making it now as someone who's quite senior. So I think if the pay had been better, we actually would have considered staying, but it's an overall problem in the UK. And I really think they need to figure out how they can pay people a decent wage, but then also keep housing prices and costs relatively manageable, because it's crazy. And Asa and I really had to be more thoughtful about our approach to money, the types of things we did, the types of ways we traveled, places we stayed. We were able to make it work, but I would say it was not our best year for savings. In terms of general way of life, I'm really gonna miss local products, local farmers markets, and the sort of neighborhood feel that Notting Hill gave to us. I think in New York, we loved Williamsburg, we loved Brooklyn, but it still felt like Manhattan. It still felt like a hustle bustle city. Whereas even though I'm still considered in City of London, it feels homey. It feels neighborhoody. It feels like a little town. And I love, you know, the local farmers market. I love how a lot of the products that we buy are made in the UK, grown in the UK, harvested in the UK. And it just goes to show that that can be a thing of value. In the US, we import everything. So a lot of things can be, you know, on hold or delayed or out of stock or whichever. And it felt like there was no shortage of things in the UK because so much of it was local. A few more questions. So why are we moving back? Well, of course I mentioned the pay, the money, huge aspect. We're getting married, we're looking to buy a home, we want to have a family. So money was important. And I think long term, like, it just didn't make sense to stay making this much money and just seeing our trajectory just take longer and longer. And then the other reason, of course, is I think being close to our friends and family. It's really hard to be that far away from everyone. So it'll be great to come back, spend more time with them. Some of our family is older, it's harder for them to travel. And I think, you know, spending time with them means a lot. And in some ways, moving away from home, that far away from home, can feel a little bit of a selfish decision when your parents and your family are getting older. So it'll be nice to kind of come back to them, come back to our friends, and just spend some more time with everyone in a way that's a little bit more thoughtful than kind of being on our own. And Austin and I genuinely miss everyone. Like, we miss outings and gatherings and celebrating birthdays and, you know, all those amazing things. And it was difficult to make friends here because we were living temporarily. And I totally understand that. Like, people were kind of off put by the fact that, okay, we'd be friends with you for 8 months and then you're going back to the US. So I can understand the hesitation, and I think it kind of burned us to do that. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to get back to the friends and the social circle aspect. One of my favorite things about London that I'm gonna miss so much, that I think New York has no upper hand on, is public transit and safety, like general safety. Now, I know that it's an experience depending on where you live, but where I lived, I always felt safe. I never felt nervous. Public transit was always very safe and convenient for me. and people just act appropriately. Like, people act like adults. They're polite, they stay out of your way, they say excuse me in a way that I think sometimes in the US people do not act like adults and can kind of act a little bit childish. So I will very much miss that, because as a woman, especially in New York, you know, you see a lot of things on public transit, especially the subway, that you don't want to. You hear about things on the subway that are, you know, very scary, and you're thinking like, where are my tax dollars going? And it's a broader topic that really needs to be addressed, but I will miss that here, because in London I felt like, you know, sure, you're still aware of your surroundings, but you don't have to be so uptight. You don't have to be like clenching your bag. I just found that most people on the train were in their own lane, in their own world. We're all commuting to and from work, no drama. And I'm gonna miss that, because I know it sounds crazy, but New York is just not like that. There's always something that's gonna be happening, and you just have to be ready and prepared, head on a swivel. It's very stressful, it's tiring, especially as a woman, and I'm gonna miss that aspect a lot, because I felt very stress-free and very confident on public transit. All right, you guys, makeup is done, just super easy because I'm working from home today, but I'm about to go to Selfridges to pick up a little gift that Austin got me. So I'm gonna head over there, come back, and edit a few more of the moving vlogs. If you haven't seen any moving vlogs, I'll leave a link above. Thank you guys so much for watching and coming on this journey with me. I hope you'll stay to see our journey back to New York, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.